my channel. My name is Sabrina and I'm very excited to have you here today. I'm going to be doing my top 8 romance Swoony reads for summer. So without further ado, here are my top 8 Swoony reads for summer. I absolutely love romance reads, and especially LGBTQ romance, which you'll probably see a lot on this list of. I love romance. Romance is one of those books where you can just dig right in and get right into it, and you automatically feel just gushy and lovey, and you know you love it. And anyone who says they don't love romance, so without further ado, let's get into my top 8 Swoony romance. The first one on this list is The Gravity of Us by, oh, I don't know who I was going to say this was by, but this is by Phil Stamter. This book follows 2 young boys, both of them whose fathers were nominated to get into the NASA program to go to Mars, and they meet, they fall in love, but they have to keep it a secret because they don't want to draw attention, 1, to themselves, and 2, away from the pilot program. Now this is set in the very, very conservative state of Texas, so you know why they have to keep this on the hiccup. The 2 boys are falling in love, and they go through all these different crash courses, and they learn a lot about each other, and it is definitely a story of love and finding yourself and figuring out who you are and what you want in a world that's built against you. This is such a wonderful book. I absolutely loved it. This was the book that definitely took off my LGBTQ romance love, and I 100% would recommend it. Next up is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This book follows a Prince of England and the first son of the United States of America who have a hatred for each other but end up falling in love. Now that is honestly just the cutest premise in the world, if you ask me. They have the most amazing chemistry, and the first son is kind of this nuisance, bickering, kind of full of himself, and then the first son of England is kind of in the closet, very shy, knows he can't say anything because it'll ruin the reputation, she says in quotes, of the royal family. So it is really cute, really lovely read of how being who you are shouldn't be put away because of the reputation of your family. This book was absolutely adorable. I highly recommend the audiobook. I love the audiobook, and this book was so cute. The next book I have is The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren, which is absolutely one of my favorite books that I've read by Christina Lauren. This book follows a group of people who work in this HGTV style show, and there are quite a few side romances. Now this book definitely isn't like a traditional romance, but that does not mean it is not any less of the fun, and I really enjoyed this read as well. The next book I have is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. I would not recommend listening to the audiobook with the windows down for this steamy story. So this book follows a girl who is on the autism spectrum, or I'm not sure if she's on the autism spectrum, or, oh, she has Asperger's, which actually this book came out pretty recently, so that's actually not even scientifically correct anymore. Asperger's is not actually labeled anymore. It's actually high functioning autism, but we're not here for a science retelling. So this book follows her, and she decides she is going to hire a male escort to teach her all of the intimate aspects of a relationship. Now they end up falling for each other, and it is the absolute most adorable story, but also has a lot of steamy smut. Cannot speak. Which I know a lot of people love in stories, and I know I absolutely do when it's done right, and this book definitely is, and it definitely digs right into it. The next one I have is the On Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. This book follows a girl who is the maid of honor at a wedding where everybody gets sick, which honestly is probably my worst fear. And her and the best man who hate each other have to go on a all expense paid trip to Hawaii for the bride and the groom, and they ultimately end up falling for each other, and it is absolutely adorable. Definitely a summer read if you've never been somewhere warm. I live in Michigan and I've never been to Hawaii, so honestly this was like on my bucket list now. I 100% would recommend this book if you're looking for a fun, steamy summer romance read, because it's definitely. The next one I have is Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. This book follows 2 boys who go on a I think it's a road trip. I can never remember if it's a road trip or they're just taking a bus somewhere to a card game convention. It's basically a nerd convention, which honestly I love. And they end up wanting to play in this card game, and they also end up falling for each other, but they also hate each other at the beginning, which is absolutely adorable. I noticed I have a thing for enemies to lovers. I think all of these books so far have been enemies to lovers, which, you know what, that just describes what I like in books. And they end up falling in love, and honestly, one boy is kind of almost in the closet because he is a jock, he is embarrassed, doesn't want people to think differently of him, and the other one is very much out in the open. And it definitely is a beautiful book and a beautiful storytelling of how what you love should not come in the way of who you are. The next book I have is Beach Read by Emily Henry. This book is set on a beach in Michigan about two authors who switch genres, and they are enemies to lovers as well. These are all enemies to lovers 100%. So they are so cute. I love their chemistry. I love how fun they are together, which honestly I feel is one of the best things in books, when the characters are just fun together. And it's set in Michigan, which honestly I talked about in one of my last videos, but I do not see a lot of books set in Michigan, so this is definitely one of those books I was really excited to see because it was set in Michigan. This book was absolutely adorable. I picked it up out of a whim, and I'm very glad I did. And the very last book on this list is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren, the third Christina Lauren book on this list. So this book follows Josh and Hazel. Hazel is a fun, witty kindergarten teacher, and Josh is very much a groundwork man, okay? And she ends up having to move in with him, I believe. Yes, but basically they fall in love, and they are absolute opposites, which is basically so cute. I absolutely love this book, and I think you would too if you were looking for just a fun read. I read this book in probably a day and a half, and honestly I'm thinking of doing a reread. So without further ado, that is going to be all my books on my steamy romance read list. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. See you later.